Ladies and gentlemen, today is the day Revel Bikes releases a longer travel 29-inch wheeled enduro bike, the Rail 29, 155 millimeters of travel in the back and 160 in the front. A lot of people that have been following Revel Bikes and what they're doing with suspension design have been wanting to see this bike because Revel has a really unique patented suspension design called CBF, the Canfield Balance Formula. And when you have a good design like that, it comes to life a lot more on a longer travel bike. And this type of bike, this sort of 160 mil travel 29er, is just a really popular bike these days because in the last 3 to 5 years, a bunch of brands have kind of figured out how to make this bike, this particular type of bike in terms of travel and wheel size, just pedal unbelievably well.
Really good.
While still being this total monster truck on the downhills. And that's why you see it so commonly in the Enduro World Series and why people just love this type of bike these days. And it is amazing. So Revel definitely is no stranger to making a bike with modern geo, which they did with this thing. One of the key things that makes a long travel 29er work well is a steep seat tube angle. That's really hard to say, by the way. So 76 degrees on this thing. Slack head tube angle, 65 with the 160 fork and 64.5 with the 170 fork. So they kind of just nailed the geo, which you'd expect out of a brand like Revel. Yes, the suspension platform does bring it to life with this much travel.
Wow.
And you ride this thing and you immediately think, wow, this thing just pedals well uphill. It just climbs really well. And then of course you point it downhill and it just monster trucks over stuff. It's pretty amazing. I love this category of bike because it is so capable, and that's why it's been getting so popular in the last 3 to 5 years. I think a lot of people will be asking, how does it compare to the Rascal, the 130 mil travel 29er that Revel also makes? And just how does this segment of bike compare to 130 mil travel 29ers in general? I think we have some future videos to make when it comes to that. It's definitely something that a lot of riders are gonna hop on and feel familiar if they've ridden a Revel in the past. Good modern geo, the kind of correct specs that you'd expect. Playful, nimble, unbelievably impressive when it comes to pedaling, especially those like sort of square edges. That's where the suspension platform to me comes to life when you're climbing one of these bikes. You hit those square edges and those rough, techie like climbing spots, and the bike just wants to power right over that, and it doesn't feel like it hangs up on you. And then of course you point it downhill and you're just like, wow, this bike is just well balanced all around, and that's kind of the idea. Speaking of this platform, we made an entire in-depth video all about it, and it got to talk to a few of the guys at Revel all about it, as well as Chris Canfield, one of the engineers who designed this, or I think maybe the engineer who basically helped bring the CBF platform to life. Pretty cool. So check that video out if you're interested. And let's dive into all of the various specs about this bike. If you're still watching this, I'm sure you're interested in everything from pricing to the universal derailleur hanger that it has on the back and all the other little details. So starting off with the geometry, I think Revel kind of nailed it when it came to picking out the most modern spec here without going overboard in any direction anywhere. So as mentioned earlier, 65 degree head tube angle when it has a 160 fork and a 64.5 degree head tube angle with a 170 fork. If you compare that to some other popular bikes that have similar travel ranges like the Yeti SB150, Santa Cruz Mega Tower, or the Specialized SJ Evo, right on par there, which makes total sense. Seat-tube angle, 76 degrees, and it stays that steep as the sizes go all the way to the XL frame size. 436 millimeter chainstay length, which is dialed. Again, these things really fall in line with some of the best sort of long travel enduro bikes already out on the market that people have been riding for a long time, such as the ones from Yeti, Santa Cruz, Specialized, you name it. When it comes to reach, 447 millimeters on the medium, 469 on the large, dialed in there. C-tube length, 415 on the medium, 453 on the large, and it's got a lot of seat post insertion on top of having a shorter C-tube, so you can get those nice long dropper posts in there, which is perfecto. A lot of the stuff on the Rail 29 to me was also just really refined when it came to the fact that they've got ISE G05 tabs on there so you can put chain guides on there, no problem. You got total compatibility with coil shocks. as well as a fancy new molded Revel chainstay protector system on there. They also just have other refinements such as bigger bearings on all the pivots for increased durability, better seals spec and everything there, and also just an easier disassembly method for that. Along those lines, the SRAM Universal Derailleur Hanger, the UDH, that's super convenient. I love to see new bikes coming with that. I also love to see bikes coming with regular 148 boost rear ends so we don't have to deal with stupid boost. The last few things to mention would be the colors are called Lead King, which is black with just the right amount of sparkle, and then the Shred Velvet Cake, which is the one that you saw behind me in this sort of shiny reddish magenta pink. I don't even know what it is, but it's pretty bright. So you got the bright color and then the more subtle color as well. The frame only are starting at $34.99, and then of course you got your GX completes at $5,999, XT kits at $7,299, XO1s at $82.99, and the XX1 Access, all sorts of bougie, for $10,999. Last but not least, you've got a 73mm English threaded bottom bracket, which I know a lot of people are huge fans of. Max chainring size of 36 tooth for round and 34 tooth for oval, which is perfect, as well as a couple bottle mounts, top and bottom down tube there, 31.6 seat post, and that pretty much rounds out all of the specs for this thing. If you want to know anything else about the Rail 29, don't hesitate to reach out to us or click the link below in the video description to look at the in-depth article we wrote all about this bike. Do check out that video all about the CBF suspension platform. It is actually pretty interesting, and we had a lot of fun filming and creating that thing. And last but not least, we are going to have Adam Miller, the founder of Revel Bikes, on the MTB podcast later in the week, I don't know, maybe a few days from now, and go even more nerdy about the suspension design and everything else they basically worked with and dealt with when they were creating this new bike. That's it. That's all. See you guys later.